So, I know it's been a while since I've updated, and I know I said I was going to do pre-post interview things, but then life got busy. Holidays, finishing school, or finishing the semester, all of that greatness. But today, earlier, about 12 hours ago, I accepted my invitation to go serve in Peace Corps, Panama, as a water, sanitation, and hygiene volunteer. Leaving in July, so I am super, super excited. It's really just, all coming together, all my lovely little things. I've got my last semester of school that I'll finish in May and graduate, and then go on and do my Peace Corps service like I wanted to, which is just super exciting for me because I wanted this for a long time, have been working towards it and just seeing my dreams realized. And so I am super, super thrilled. So just like a refresher of like my timeline, if you're doing the Peace Corps, wondering how everything went. I applied like early September, and then a week later got put under consideration, and then I didn't hear about an interview, or I got asked to send in some extra forms and stuff about like my Spanish and the MI program I'm a part of at Tulane, and then so then she sent me an email in like October saying, hey, don't worry, you're gonna, I haven't sent out any interview things because, the application deadline's so far away and you applied so early. And so I was like, so there's that. But anyway, so then I applied, or I got an email for an interview in November and did my interview mid-November, and that's when she told me that I would not hear back until it was a yes or a no. Well, the application deadline wasn't until January 1st. So I ended with a no by date of March 1st. So I was like, great. I'm going to have to wait for forever. So part of my history is that everything for me has usually fallen together in like that March time frame. Like my dad refers to it as figure out my life by spring break, because I didn't figure out where I was going to undergrad until spring break. Then all my internships and things like that found out about spring break time. And then when I applied to grad school, again, it was like March or so before I found out about grad school. And so my dad always jokes that March is when I figure out my life. And so I really was worried that I was going to have to wait until March 1st to find out yes or no. And then if I didn't get in, try and plan my life in March. So, there's that. But luckily, I found out today. So within like a matter of minutes, I had accepted my invitation, and so of course they're sending me all this medical stuff that I gotta do, and they had already sent me the legal kit, so I've got to send that off now so I can be legally cleared, and considering I've committed no felonies, I think I'm pretty good, and whatnot. And same with the medical clearance, is that I've been lived a relatively healthy life. I do have to have some dental work done beforehand, but one of the things says that, as long as you complete all the dental work before at least 45 days before the start of your service, then you're good. So just have to do some things from a long time ago, bicycle accident, that I haven't done, that I should have done years ago, but been putting it off. But that's really my only medical thing. I don't expect anything else to really be a problem. But mainly, I'm just super excited. And so I've received this question from a lot of family and friends of what is Peace Corps, what are you going to do, type of thing. So I decided I was going to part that as part of this video, that explain what Peace Corps is, what I know as of right now, because there's a lot of with Peace Corps that's kind of up in the air and a mystery to you until you're there, you're in it, you're living it. So Um, what is Peace Corps? So Peace Corps is an organization that was started in the 60s, and it was part of an initiative by JFK to promote peace between nations and an understanding between nations, and really to teach other nations about America and Americans to learn about other nations, to kind of foster that, mentality of peace. Because really, the more you travel, the more you experience other cultures and other people, you really do have like a better understanding of, okay, if I were in their shoes, what life would be, XYZ, good, bad, whatever, type of thing. And you really just like, you don't understand how privileged we are in America until you go to other countries, or you don't even realize some of the things you take for granted, or not even just that, but like being like, live in New Orleans, so it's a whole bunch of lights and lack of, city, or lack of stars and mountains or hills or anything like that. And so you go somewhere else and you can truly be appreciative. Like when I was in South America, there was mountains everywhere and trees, and it was, even in the like main cities, there was trees everywhere, and it was awesome. And so like being appreciative of things like that, because maybe you don't have it in your hometown or whatever. So that's part of what Peace Corps promotes. So there's 6 different sectors. There's education, business, agriculture, environment, health, and I feel like I'm missing one. I can't think of what it is, but I'll be working in the health sector. Well, kind of a crossover between environmental and health. Dang it, this is gonna drive me crazy. But anyway, so that's what I'll be working in. I'll be working in the like environmental health type thing, working as water, sanitation, hygiene volunteer. So what that entails is teaching better hygiene practices, like having community members understand why good hygiene is important for health. Be it washing your hands after using the restroom, not going around other sick people, making sure you're drinking fresh water and water that is, potable, and, just general things like that. So some of it is capacity building in the sense of, they may not have access to a, running water, toilets, any of that type of thing. So some of it may be building latrines, or setting up, like helping to, start the project of setting up a system for, clean water access. And some of it may just be starting off with, okay, here's why, you need good hygiene practices. So Peace Corps works off of different tier systems. So Panama's tier system is a 3-tier system. What that means is that in a particular village, there will only be 3 Peace Corps volunteers in a row. You have your opener, which will be the person who goes in, kind of sets the stage, does some assessments, figures out what needs to be done, where we need to start, type of thing. Maybe starting on that, general hygiene, why you need to wash your hands, type of thing, and how proper hygiene relates to health. Then that secondary person goes in and kind of continues on with that, and then starts looking into capacity build, community leaders, how we can set up a water committee or whatever it is that needs to help build the capacity for the community. And then you have your closer, and this person is supposed to set up a sustainable project. So if you are starting a project that requires funding, having a sustainable, locally sourced way to get funding is important, as well as just being able to, Peace Corps can only be there for 6 years, because 2 years per person. So So you need to be teaching community members and having community members be able to rely on themselves after you're gone, or after the last Peace Corps volunteer is gone. So setting up projects that are going to be sustainable in the long run, as well as community driven. And so that's kind of a general overview of what water and sanitation looks like in Panama. Each different community that I could be placed in can be completely different, and there's no telling what I would do versus the next person who's also doing something similar in the same country. So I really won't know until after pre-service training. So when I first, it's 27 months, so the first 10 weeks is pre-service training, where you do language, cultural, and technical skills. Luckily for me, I've been working on my language skills, but a lot of rural Panama, which is where the WASH volunteers go, also speak an indigenous language. So in addition to Spanish, I may be learning an indigenous language depending on where I'm going to go. So I could potentially learn another little thing, but there are some parts of the country that they stick to just Spanish. So I'll just be doing Panamanian Spanish and their own little colloquialisms like we have here in America, you know, based on different parts of the country that you live in, like, you know, north, south, west, all those different things have different sayings and phrases. Like we say y'all, where other people say like you guys and things like that. That's kind of how Spanish is. There's different ways in which people may interpret a thing that you say, or they may have a different word for it. And so, you know, learning those other general colloquialisms. And so that's part of like the Spanish, or like the language training. And then Panamanian culture is like, you know, history of Panama, how, you know, Panama government works, the economy, Peace Corps in Panama, like how long they've been there, things they've worked on, general cultural norms and accepted behaviors, you know, especially when it comes to like, you know, gender norms and things like that. It tends to be a much more patriarchal society. Maybe I'm pronouncing that word right. Struggle with that word. But anyway, so patriarchal society, much more so than even America, even though America is one as well. And so that's definitely going to be an adjustment. It's something I talked about in my interview about being, you know, would be a struggle for me, because I, you know, am an independent woman, and I'm single and in my 20s and have no children or any of those things. And so for a lot of people, that will be one of my biggest barriers to being an effective Peace Corps volunteer. You know, frequently I've read many stories on different Peace Corps volunteer blogs about how they weren't taken seriously as a woman for a while, that, you know, they were told they shouldn't work, and just various different things. But so that's part of like the cultural training that you'll get, is like gender norms, you know, things they think about religion, about, you know, even just general etiquette and things like that, that, you know, you don't necessarily think about in being in a different country. But like, you know, you grow up in America, there's certain norms that we, you know, you shake hands when you meet someone. Maybe that's not the thing. Maybe it's hugging, maybe it's kissing, maybe it's, you know, just no touching whatsoever. Just learning those different ways in which you're supposed to interact with people so that you can become an accepted member of your community and therefore be effective as a Peace Corps volunteer. And so then the technical skills, which I kind of have a little bit of a heads up on people because my degree is an emphasis in water quality. So there's that. I have that kind of experience already. Granted, it's more, you know, Americanized, based on American systems, things like that. But I have some of the technical background that Others may not. I don't know. Don't know my Peace Corps cohort yet. Type of thing. But there'll still be plenty of things that, because I don't have an engineering background, so there'll still be that, building of things and being able to set up things like that will be something that I will need to focus on, and whatnot. And so that's all part of pre-service training. So during that time, I'll be living not too far from the capital, which is Panama City, Panama, and living with a host family for those 10 weeks. And so one of the benefits of living with a host family is really being integrated into the culture, into the community, and being able to practice that language one-on-one. So during this pre-service training, I'm not allowed to speak English, which I don't see as a struggle, because I have been working on it, but I think that it's definitely going to be different. Just that whole thought process of I've got to speak in Spanish basically non-stop. And so it's going to be really interesting. I'm sure whatever Panamanian family I get placed with, they're going to be like, this is the craziest American we've ever seen. If they've had many before, because even to be like a host family, sometimes they've had people before, maybe they haven't, things like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I haven't lived with people in a long time, so it's definitely going to be different. And from everything I've read, Panamanians are much more invasive of your privacy type of thing. So lack of privacy. So it's going to be really interesting. And then, so after that, then there'll be towards the end of pre-service training, I'll have to go in and do an interview with the people in country, and that's when they'll decide where I get placed. So that's when I will be determined which part of the country I will be going to live in for the next 2 years. And so, according to the packet that I read today, that'll be around September 14th-ish is when I should be moving to my new little space, even though I'll be moving to Panama in July. And so, for the first 3 months, once I'm at site, I still have to live with another host family. So I'll have 2 host families for sure. After that 3 months at site, I have the option of moving out on my own. Of course, this is based on availability, as they have so nicely put it, that hey, you know what, as soon as your 3 months is up, you may not be able to move immediately, type of thing. But you also have the option of I don't know if it's staying with the same host family or moving to a different host family. I really don't know how they divide that up, but I'm kind of playing it by ear on that, because I may get there and be like, yeah, I love living with a host family, this is great, and then I may be like, get me out of here as soon as possible, because I have become accustomed to living by myself, and so I'm used to it, and I do find some solace in spending alone time. So I feel like living with a host family for the entire 2 years is probably not going to happen for me, but I'm open to the idea. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so once I get there, once I get my placement and I get to my site, that'll really be once I start my actual Peace Corps service, and we'll start really working on whatever it is I'm going to be working on. In addition to my regular job, which is not so regular. Only education volunteers really have a regular job. The rest of us, we're just kind of in the wind, figuring it out. Day to day, it's going to be different. Some people have offices, some people don't. Which, for those of you that know me, is going to also be a big struggle. Because I am a very type A, plan my life out, do things at a certain time each day, everyone knows that I do. So, and I've been told by many people that is something that I'm gonna have to work on. So I'm gonna try my best to be a go with the flow kind of person. But I know that my type A-ness is so gonna come out at certain points. And I know it's gonna frustrate me. But I also think it's gonna be very, like, I think it's gonna be good because it's gonna keep me on task, if in the sense of without that structure, without that type of thing, I'm going to be able to stay on task without necessarily having a boss over my shoulder the whole time, type of thing. But yeah, so in addition to my job, I'm going to need to do secondary projects. So a couple months ago, I did a training with the Cookbook Project here in New Orleans on becoming a food literacy educator. So I'm hoping to use that as probably one of my secondary project type things, is doing maybe, you know, some food education, food with children, teaching them how to, you know, cook healthily, things like that. You know, depending on what I see, of course. I mean, because a lot of secondary projects is based on, like, oh, I see we're missing this type of thing. But I went ahead and did the training because nutrition and cooking, yes, I know how to cook. Yes, I know there are healthier choices. But I really felt like I needed that kind of program to really help me should this become a thing. Because I've heard many people say that nutrition is usually one of the things that are lacking. So I decided to take this course, became certified as a food literacy educator. I also plan to do some things with, like, rain gardens or rain barrels and different, like, garden type things, and learning about composting and various different things, to kind of play into this sustainable lifestyle type of thing, because Panama rains a lot. So depending on where I am placed, if they don't have close access to fresh water and we want to do a rain barrel catchment system with filtration and things like that, that might be a viable option. But I need to do some research / maybe take a class or two on how all of that works and how to set it up, because I personally don't have that system knowledge that other people do. But I also use tap water and things like that because, again, I'm fortunate enough to live in America where we have these things. Plus, in Alabama, where I grew up, we have some of the freshest water ever. And so it's pretty great. So you don't need filters or anything like that. It's, you know, you can just drink straight out of the tap type of thing. But I really want to enhance upon some skills and, you know, really read up on some things and just in general be a part of various different projects. Plus, I personally want to live by example, so I do want to set up my little rain barrel thing, do composting, have myself my own little garden, and just in general try to live like this, because in addition to all of this, I've started a challenge with my mom of 90-day workout challenge. In addition to, I want to eat healthier and do those types of things. It's more about personal health type of things, because diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all those things run in my family. So I would like to, at my age, go ahead and try to cut out some of my bad habits. One of which is cutting back on sodas and trying to eat healthier, fresher foods, like eating at home instead of, you know, the Chick-fil-A that I love to eat. But you best believe I'm going to be getting me some Chick-fil-A before I leave for Panama, because 2 years without Chick-fil-A, it's going to be hard. But overall, I am super excited and whatnot. In addition, this is something I meant to talk about. So, there is a program that was started by Michelle Obama within Peace Corps called Let Girls Learn. And it's basically like a camp type of initiative. Well, it's kind of incorporated into a camp. It's multifaceted type of thing of basically, you know, women in education, or women's education across the world is seriously deficient, because there's quite a few patriarchal societies that do not encourage women learning or having any form of education. So Michelle Obama started the Let Girls Learn initiative with the Peace Corps, where places that are stationed or that have Peace Corps volunteers will also try to incorporate some various activities for girls in their community to have access to education and be taught various different things. This is in addition to Camp Glow, which is in a lot of countries, which is like a week or 2 week, I can't really remember, camp for girls, and then even have some for boys, teaching them about how to deal with the various growing up things, as well as just in general, like, encouraging girls to learn and, you know, try to do something outside of what is considered the norm. And so that's definitely something I'm hugely passionate about, and I'm so thankful that the Peace Corps has this type of thing that I definitely want to incorporate as part of something I'm a part of, as well as like a secondary project, maybe, depending on what I see. Like, a lot of this is just really dependent, you know? I can't officially make any plans without really being there and doing things and seeing things. And of course, all of this is upon my medical clearance, which I feel heavily confident on because I've been very thankful to be very healthy. But it's still one of those things where it's like, not officially, until I'm on that plane, I'm not officially like a Peace Corps volunteer. Type of thing. But no, I really am just super excited because I really was nervous because I'm me and I get nervous about these things, despite my list of, you know, qualifications and things like that. And so I am super excited to be going, and that I was invited, and while it's kind of daunting, the amount of medical tasks that I have to complete, I think it's really going to be worth it. So in the next couple days, I have to fill out millions and millions and millions of things of paperwork and set up some appointments for doctors and dentists and things like that. And I hate doctors and dentists. Not a fan, but gotta do it, especially because I have insurance right now, I have 60 days to do all of this. So, in the next 60 days, I get to be poked and prodded and, you know, all the really fun things that I love to do. So, it's really exciting, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And of course, I have to pass my last semester of grad school. Granted, I'm only taking 3 classes this time, so it's not too bad. But, I definitely have to make sure that I'm completing everything that I need to in this next semester, so I can graduate and go into Peace Corps. And then, of course, trying to allot my time because, you know, leave July 2nd and I graduate May 20th, so got to figure out all my plans and where I'm going because I want to see family and friends and go on a couple of trips before I go, but really just trying to, you know, be happy because today is a really good day. And with that, I will sign off. Bye for now.